News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Wednesday on Wall Street, where dip buyers pushed the S&P 500 back to all-time highs. That's just energized investors betting that the bull market is nowhere near its end. We do bring you the closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 gained 39 points. NASDAQ gained 255 points. The Dow ended the day pretty much flat, only losing just 1 point. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.12% and the 2-year yield at 3.58%. President Trump says he is considering a trip to the Middle East in the next week as Israel-Hamas ceasefire talks continue.
Leaving probably on Sunday, maybe Saturday, maybe a little later than Saturday evening, but that seems to be our schedule.
Trump said a peace deal in the Middle East is very close after officials from Israel and Hamas were cautiously positive about talks in Egypt. And we got Fed minutes today, which showed Fed officials have a willingness to lower interest rates further this year, many, though, expressing caution driven by concerns over inflation. Officials voted to lower interest rates by a 0.25 percentage point, with one official favoring a 0.5-point reduction and voting against the decision. Bloomberg's Michael McKee.
But the minutes do suggest there were some more hawkish views. A few participants stated there was merit in keeping the federal funds rate unchanged at this meeting, the minutes say. And most participants emphasized upside risks to their outlook for inflation in the discussion about the economy.
New projections released after that meeting showed officials expected 2 additional 0.25-point cuts by the end of the year. That's according to their median estimate. Former FBI Director James Comey has pleaded not guilty to charges that he lied to lawmakers and obstructed a congressional proceeding. Comey's attorney, Patrick Fitzgerald, says they'll seek to have those charges dismissed on the grounds that it is an improperly vindictive and selective prosecution. Bloomberg national security reporter Miles Miller says there's also the question about the status of the U.S. attorney who brought those charges.
Will they be able to get this case thrown out on the grounds that, A, there's not much there, or B, will they be able to make the case that the U.S. attorney appointed by the president, Lindsay Halligan, is not actually the U.S. attorney for the district and that she wasn't basically appointed in the proper way.
Bloomberg's Miles Miller on balance of power. The judge set a trial date of January 5th and said it would last 2 or 3 days. Airports across the U.S. are facing more delays caused by air traffic controller shortages, a result of the government shutdown. Funding for the Essential Air Service program, which provides federal subsidies for airlines to maintain flights to small and rural communities, is expected to dry up as soon as Sunday if the government's still closed. And more than 250,000 federal workers missed paychecks this week as the U.S. government shutdown stretches into a second week. Another 2 million will go without pay if the shutdown stretches into week number 3. House Ways and Means Chair Jason Smith of Missouri blames Democrats who are holding out for negotiations around Affordable Care Act premiums, which are set to rise when subsidies expire at the end of this year.
Premiums have gone up 80% in the last 10 years in Obamacare exchanges. Premiums have continued to go up because it's been a complete failure. What they've done with these subsidies only increases the incentive for insurance companies to raise premiums.
House Ways and Means Chair Jason Smith on Bloomberg's Balance of Power. That Governor Michael Barr views Trump-era moves to loosen rules and relax supervision over Wall Street lenders as a mistake. He says proposals that roll back capital standards threaten to erode crucial safeguards and would leave community banks exposed to the fallout if the largest banks fail.
It was not community banks that fueled the 2008 financial crisis. It was the largest, most complex firms whose excessive risk-taking nearly brought down the system.
Barr's comments come ahead of a conference on community lenders that will be hosted by Michelle Bowman, the Fed's top bank watchdog. Blue Origin launched 6 passengers on its latest tourist flight earlier today.
Command engine start. 2, 1.
This is the 15th manned mission for the New Shepard program. Bloomberg's Ed Ludlow reports the passengers all have one thing in common.
You put a $150,000 deposit down. There have been leaks and reports that the total ride could cost anywhere from $200,000 to $500,000 for a few minutes of weightlessness. But they're going to be traveling up to that orbital height for just that 3 minutes at almost 2,000 miles per hour.
Bloomberg Tech host Ed Ludlow. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.